The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a protracted struggle spanning over 7 decades, has witnessed numerous wars, peace initiatives, and intermittent periods of uneasy calm. Today, we delve into the pressing question: is Israel orchestrating a conclusive war against Palestine? To comprehend the current dynamics, we must explore recent developments, underlying motivations, and the broader geopolitical landscape. In January 2025, a ceasefire mediated by the United States, Egypt, and Qatar brought a temporary halt to the hostilities that had ravaged Gaza for 15 months. This fragile peace offered a glimmer of hope to millions affected by the conflict. However, this respite was short-lived. On March 18, 2025, Israel launched a surprise bombardment on Gaza, effectively ending the ceasefire. The Israeli government cited Hamas's refusal to release remaining hostages and vacate the territory as the impetus for this renewed offensive. The humanitarian impact was immediate and devastating. Nasser Hospital, the largest in southern Gaza, was inundated with casualties, primarily women and children. Reports indicate that on one of the deadliest days, 409 individuals were killed, including 173 children and 88 women, with hundreds more wounded. The hospital's infrastructure suffered significant damage, exacerbating the already dire medical crisis. The Israeli military's renewed campaign appears to be driven by broader strategic objectives. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's administration has articulated a goal to dismantle Hamas's operational capabilities comprehensively. This involves extensive air and ground assaults targeting command centers, weapons depots, and leadership figures within Hamas. Defense Minister Israel Katz has been explicit in his messaging, urging Gaza residents to expel Hamas or face severe consequences. This ultimatum underscores a strategy aimed not only at military targets, but also at influencing the civilian population to turn against the governing entity in Gaza. Within Israel, the protracted conflict has precipitated significant domestic unrest. Public support for continued military engagement is waning, exacerbated by reservist fatigue and mounting casualties. Protests have erupted nationwide, with citizens demanding government accountability and the safe return of hostages. Prime Minister Netanyahu faces formidable political challenges. His coalition government is under strain, particularly from ultra-right-wing factions advocating for more aggressive military actions. This internal pressure may be influencing the administration's current strategy in Gaza, as Netanyahu seeks to consolidate political support amidst a volatile domestic landscape. The conflict's ramifications extend beyond Gaza's borders, impacting regional stability. On March 22, 2025, Israel conducted airstrikes in Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah positions in response to rocket attacks on Israeli territory. This marked the most significant exchange of fire since the previous ceasefire with Hezbollah, raising concerns about a broader regional escalation. International reactions have been mixed. The United States has reiterated its support for Israel's right to self-defense while urging caution to prevent further civilian casualties. The United Nations has called for an immediate cessation of hostilities, emphasizing the urgent need for humanitarian aid access to Gaza. The resumption of hostilities has exacerbated an already dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Thousands have been displaced, seeking refuge in overcrowded shelters with limited access to basic necessities. The destruction of infrastructure, including hospitals and schools, has further strained the territory's capacity to cope with the escalating needs. Human rights organizations have raised alarms about potential violations of international law, citing the high civilian death toll and the targeting of non-military infrastructures. The international community faces mounting pressure to intervene and facilitate a sustainable resolution to the conflict. Analyzing Israel's long-term strategy reveals a complex interplay of security concerns, territorial ambitions, and demographic considerations. The expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank, often accompanied by military support, indicates a concerted effort to alter the region's demographic landscape. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is not an isolated struggle. It is deeply enmeshed in global geopolitics, with major powers pursuing their own strategic interests. The United States has long been a staunch ally of Israel, providing substantial military aid and diplomatic support. Under a 2016 Memorandum of Understanding, the U.S. committed nearly $4 billion annually to Israel, including $500 million for missile defense. Israel has the right to defend itself, asserted President Joe Biden, reaffirming unwavering U.S. support. However, this alliance is not without controversy. Critics argue that unconditional support emboldens aggressive policies, undermining prospects for peace. European nations have expressed growing concern over the escalating violence. Germany, France, and the United Kingdom issued a joint statement urging an immediate ceasefire and restoration of humanitarian access in Gaza. The conflict cannot be resolved militarily, emphasized the foreign ministers, calling for a sustainable path to peace. Regional powers like Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey have vested interests in the conflict's outcome. Iran's support for groups like Hamas serves to counter Israeli and U.S. influence, while Saudi Arabia and Turkey navigate complex political landscapes, balancing public support for Palestinians with geopolitical alliances. The international community remains divided in its response to the conflict, reflecting a complex web of political alliances and ideological divides. The United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution calling for an immediate and sustained humanitarian truce, reflecting global concern over civilian casualties. There is no Israeli partner for peace during the current government's tenure and no peace process taking place, but rather a genocide, stated Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, urging international accountability. Public opinion is sharply polarized. In the United States, nearly equal shares favor, 36%, and oppose, 34%. Providing military aid to Israel, highlighting domestic divisions. Media coverage varies widely, with narratives shaped by political affiliations, further complicating public discourse. Amid geopolitical strategies and international posturing, the human cost remains staggering. Thousands have been killed, and many more displaced, their lives irrevocably altered. The path to peace requires more than ceasefires. It demands addressing root causes, ensuring justice, and fostering mutual recognition. The question persists. Is Israel planning a final war against Palestine, or is there hope for a just and lasting peace? The answer lies in the collective will of global leaders, regional powers, and the people themselves to envision and work towards a future where both Israelis and Palestinians can coexist in peace and dignity. If you found this analysis insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your engagement helps us continue to provide in-depth coverage of critical global issues. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's strive for a world where peace is not just a dream, but a shared reality.